right, so next up we have Nilofar, and let's see if this is going to work here. We're seeing if she has joined us.
So Nilofar, Brianna's on her way in. She was in the test room by mistake, so she should be in momentarily.
Oh, great. Well, I will give her a little bit of an introduction here while we wait for her to connect online. Nilofar Raeesi. Nilofar is a conservation scientist and has over a decade of experience working in conservation in Iran, which is a beautiful, large, mountainous country in the Middle East. She studies the endangered Persian leopard in southwest Iran, and she's here today to tell us about the incredible animal and the recent work that she has done to bring more attention to small world cats in Iran. So this is a topic I don't know very much about, so I'm so excited to bring Nilofar to the stage. Hello, welcome. Welcome, Nilofar. I think we're just getting your tech set up there, so hopefully you can see and hear. And I think you're joining us from Iran, is that right?
Yeah. In the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about what we do in Iran during our conservation projects. Well, Iran is a vast country and it's containing 4 different ecoregions, as you see on the map, from Caspian region in the north to the Persian Gulf and Oman Sea in the south. So it gives this opportunity to the country to have a very high biological diversity. But actually, all the countries and natural habitats around the world, it faces different issues, challenges, and threats. As you see, degradation of soil because of overgrazing and cultivation, loss of potential productivity through wind and water erosion, because of overcutting of forests, and of course, illegal hunting and habitat degradation, alongside with the overconstruction of roads, mines, and other human developments, faces the country with so many challenges.
Hi, Nilofar. Can you hear me now?
But what we do and where do we come in the whole story? Today, I'm actually the representative of 2 local NGOs in Iran and a project. As you probably know, in Iran, the Department of Environment is in charge of protecting and conserving the natural habitats, all the national parks and protected areas. Alongside with DOE, we are working as Kuch Foundation for Biodiversity Conservation, Pars Wildlife Guardian Foundations, and a project that we developed in 2015 as Palas Cat Conservation Project, which is actually nowadays focusing on studying and promoting small wildcats conservation in Iran. And of course, we are working closely with local communities, other NGOs, researchers, and conservationists, and receiving supports from industries and individuals in Iran. I'd like to actually jump into Wildcats of Iran and give you some backgrounds of what's going on here and why we are focusing on studying wildcats. Iran used to have 10 species of wildcats, but today's 2 out of these 8 are extinct: Caspian tiger and Asiatic lion. Asiatic cheetah is critically endangered, and you see in the picture that the endangered Persian leopard as well. There are also 6 small wildcats in Iran, and we are actually focusing on studying Palas cat with Persian leopard in our projects. Following a series of workshops and meetings in 2012 in Iran, in collaboration with IUCN, a roadmap was developed to study and conservation all the wild cats in Iran. You can find more information in a special issue of Cat News, which actually published in 2016 with all the information and conservation needs of these following species. But among all of them, of Iran, Central Alborz, because there was some evidence and records of existence of the species in that area. You see in this picture the habitats, how it looks like in north of Iran for Pallas cats and other species during spring and winter as well. What we did actually, we first of all, we tried to get as much as information we can. So we did semi-structured interviews with rangers and local communities, and at the same time, we tried to set up camera traps to get more robust information and evidence of the species existence in that area. And fortunately, we could get the first videos and footages of Pallas cat in one of the protected areas that we were studying the species. These are actually some of the footages of the project that you see. And I can say this is the first video of the Pallas cat from Iran that we could get in covered and no hunting area. Yes, this is a really funny video. I really like that to get so many different behaviors of wildcats in camera trap footages. And this project could also help us to extend our network with other conservationists, especially women. And of course, it helps us to find enthusiastic and interested rangers to collaborate with. An infographic poster was also developed and provided from our project to local communities and ranger stations in the areas that we studied the species. And we could able to contribute to so many scientific and national magazines to talk about and write more about small wildcats, especially Pallas cat in Iran. And this is part of our team with the rangers of one of the areas that we studied Pallas cat. And about other projects, I really like to introduce you to the study of Persian leopard in southwestern Iran, where we are working as a local NGO alongside with other rangers. You see that Fars province is located in western Iran, and the red cycle actually shows the national parks, where the national parks that we study Persian leopard are located. I can say very similar to the Pallas cat project. First of all, we tried really hard to get as much as information we can. We did science surveys in one of the national parks that there was actually no robust evidence of Persian leopard presence for more than 2 decades. But hopefully we could find so many evidences, and then we decided to plan a systematic camera trapping in those 2 national parks, as you see here. So we set up the camera traps in these grids, and we were able to get footages of Persian leopards. You see the green dots show the places and stations that we could get footages of Persian leopard in Bamu and Bakhtegan National Park. If I want to show a highlight of the results of this project, we could record caracal for the first time in Bamu National Park, which was a really interesting record of the species, because the closest place that conservationists could get confirmed record of this species was Bakhtegan National Park, which was actually 15 kilometers away from that area. And at the same time, last year, we were able to find out and identify one of our male Persian leopard individuals, both in Bamu and Bakhtegan National Parks, which was really interesting and fascinating result. Because we could find out that the Persian leopards probably move between these 2 national parks, and it shows the importance of corridors protection between these 2 national parks, which are actually rolling as 2 separated islands for a large carnivore like Persian leopard. And this is one of the footages that I really like to show you here. It shows a family of Persian leopard in Bamu National Park. a male, a female, and a cub is actually jumping into the video. This was one of the most interesting videos I've ever seen from Persian leopard. This is also one of the other interesting videos. I hope that you hear the sound of the videos because it actually shows how a male dominant Persian leopard is actually roaring in the mating season in the hope of finding a mate. We captured this video in Bakhtagan National Park during mating season of Persian leopard. And this is actually shows a female Persian leopard again in Bakhtagan National Park and how she tries to mark probably her territory in that area. And it's really interesting that wherever you capture a large predator, you definitely will be able to get so many footages of the prey. And you see that these herd of ibex are actually moving around and foraging exactly on the same point that we got that Persian leopard. Uh, but unfortunately, that's not the end of the story, and it's not a happy ending story necessarily. We got so many footages of the poachers in different locations of Bakhtagan National Park, and this is only one of the footages that we captured with our camera traps. And hopefully, they actually didn't see the camera trap because otherwise, probably they would break it or I don't know, stole it as we had the experiences, the same experiences in Golestan National Park during our one of projects. So as you see that there are threats like poaching and overhunting of wild prey in even national parks of the country, and it actually leads to so much pressure on Persian leopard as well. Facing our projects and what we are doing in Iran as conservationists, as you probably know, a few of our talented conservationists, our friends and colleagues, are actually in detention, and it truly puts so much pressure on all the projects that we've been doing and we've been planning to do. So this is a really sad story that we are still facing, and we hope that in near future we can find all of them next to us and do what we've been doing. At the same time, sanctions, shortage of financial resources, and all the internal limitations put so much pressure on conservation projects in Iran. For example, Raeesi was one of those foundations that we used to receive funds, but recently they have to put Iran among the countries that they can actually support financially. And for example, in other examples, you see that we are restricted to view IUCN website, which is actually really frustrating. So there are so many internal limitations along with short of financial resources, with actually shrink us and projects every single day. We are trying to be optimistic and at the same time realistic to plan our activities, visions, and missions. For the future, we do hope that we could cover and probably receive financial supports from internal and, of course, international donors and investors in hope of extending our projects, conservation projects in Iran. And this is one of the photos that I'd really like to show you, that you see me and a Pallas cat in this footage, that a camera trap actually got this image. For any information, queries, and any supports, you can email me. And of course, you can find us on Instagram for more information on our projects and watch other interesting footages that we get during our projects. Thanks for your attention.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, that was really interesting, something I don't know much about. And it must be so challenging to find these big and small cats in Iran. It's a huge place. And I'd like to know a little bit about the camera traps, because that's a relatively new technology. So what was known about these creatures before camera traps, and how has it changed your understanding of the region? I think we're on a bit of a delay here.
Brianna, I'm not sure that I could get really interrupted.
I think we're having a little bit of tech issues. We heard your presentation wonderfully.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I think we're having a little bit of trouble at the end, though. We heard everything. It was incredible. Maybe what we can do is pull up the last slide that you had with all of your information, where we can learn a little bit more. Right, looks like it's having a little bit of connectivity issues. Can you read the chat, Nilofar?
Hey.
We can hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Can you hear our questions? All right, I think we might have a little bit of connectivity issues here. Okay, looks like we can type in the chat, so I will type about our questions.
Okay, cool. Joe is actually writing that question was about camera traps. What have you learned about the cats from them? Yeah, that's a very interesting questions. Because um, of course, in any of the projects that we've done before using camera traps, we had a general idea and thought about where the species is actually existing, and what do they do, the patterns of behavior and all the information. But with using camera traps, in addition to getting information, robust, confirmed information of the species presence, we were also able to get so many information about their behavior during mating season, and how they actually move around with the cubs, and how long one of the individuals of the population can also move to find a mate, food, or other resources. So these are just a summary of information that we can get from camera traps and using them. And of course, we use camera traps to estimate a population of Persian leopard in those two different national parks, and the density of the population in the areas that we use camera traps.
Okay, great. I have one more question. I put it in the chat there about
I
how people.
hope you could hear me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we have one more question. How
Yep.
can you share again how people
My
follow and
pleasure.
support? How can we follow and support?
Yeah. So can you see my screen now?
Mhm.
Yeah, this
Great.
is how you can find us. Cooch Foundation is a newly registered NGO that we are working with that, and on Small Wildcat. And you can find more information about our Paulus Cat project in smallcats.iran. And of course, Pars Wildlife is that local NGO which is active in southwestern Iran, and we work on Persian leopard and studying their population with them. And you can, of course, email me whenever you have any questions, and if we can help you to find any information from conservation in Iran.
Wonderful. We were able to hear that. I think we're having some connectivity issues. Nilofar cannot hear me, but we are typing and talking in the chat. And so I've asked her to share a little bit more information if you want to follow these groups on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us, Nilofar. And we're going to move on to our next presentation. Happy World Biodiversity Day. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.